Good morning. It is Sunday, the 7th of October.
Also ahead, two of the biggest shows on TV are back. It's been a weekend of sequins and song as Strictly and The X Factor return to our screens.
Yes. So how do they compare with previous years, and do the formats still have pulling power? We'll be finding out.
And Matt has the weather. Thanks, Matt. See you then.
But first, our main story. A procession and church service is being held this morning in the town where 5-year-old April Jones went missing last Monday.
46-year-old local man Mark Bridger was charged with her abduction and murder yesterday. A major search operation is continuing around the town of McCunleth in mid-Wales. And we'll be getting the very latest on this story from our reporter who's on the route of the procession just after 7 o'clock.
Now, the Conservative conference gets underway in Birmingham later today.
Yeah, the party has announced a freeze on council tax bills in England next year and a cap on train fare rises. The radical Islamist cleric Abu Hamza has made his first appearance in an American court, charged with 11 terror offences.
He was one of 5 suspects to be extradited from the UK after a long legal battle.
Police in Glasgow say they're concerned about herbal incense that's being sold as a so-called legal high.
Celebrities, including Hugh Grant and Charlotte Church, have written to the Prime Minister, urging him to keep an open mind on the regulation of the press.
The letter sent ahead of the Conservative Party conference has been signed by 60 victims of phone hacking, including people involved in the bomb attacks on London in 2005 and the Hillsborough Justice campaign.
Now, donations to some disability charities in the lead-up to the Paralympics were more than double the amount given in the same period in 2011.
Now, a village in Northern Ireland has been named the overall winner of a prestigious gardening competition.
On to them.
And the South Korean capital Seoul showed its Gangnam style yesterday when some 15,000 flash mob dancers performed to the worldwide cult hit. Super kind of horse riding type of dance. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, 400 million hits, most of them from my children.
Really?
Yeah.
You allow them on the internet that much? Shall we pause and have a look at this morning's news?
Yes, why not? Shall we start with, there we go, the Sunday Telegraph. A rather haunting image of April Jones, which is pitched up on...
Yeah, Europe, one of the subjects we're expecting to talk about. Front page of the Sunday Times here, also leading on the Tories. They're saying they want to get on.
The Observer were also leading on the Conservative in the programme. Yeah,
looking at this morning's tabloids, the Sunday Mirror has a story here on the front page about Ian Brady, saying Brady dies, but medics save him. A report here that... his heart stopped for several minutes after suffering a fit in hospital. He was brought back to life, they say, against his own medically recorded wishes.
The Sun on Sunday goes firmly down the showbiz route for their front page. It is Factor.
This is surely part of a book. Is this a biography?
Let me check that, Sally. That may well be true.
I think Cheryl is having.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Cheryl, My Story by Cheryl Cole. Good name. Yeah.
Front page of today's Daily or Sunday Mail. Again, back to the Tories, and this is the Chancellor saying no mansion tax, no wealth tax, and a freeze on council tax, similar to what we were talking about at the front page of the Sunday Times. Osborne saying my tax gift to Middle England. Those are the voters they are trying to appeal to with the start of the Tory party conference that, of course, starts in Birmingham today.
And if we finish on the Independent on Sunday, they have got... That's their campaign.
Striking front page from the Independent there. Now, as we mentioned, Conservative activists are gathering in Birmingham for their conference, with Labour leading the opinion polls. The party will focus on ideas designed to be popular and eye-catching.
Indeed. Well, our political correspondent Carol Walker joins us now. Speaking to Carol again a bit later on.
It is 17 minutes past 6. You're watching Breakfast from BBC News. Our main stories this morning.
Thanks.
Also coming up in the programme. But before all that, here's Matt Taylor with a look at this morning's weather. Matt.
Thank you.
Good to hear, Matt. Thanks very much indeed.
Now it's time for Reporters, which this week includes a report on unemployed graduates in the US and how they may vote in the upcoming election.
Hello, this is Breakfast with Adam Parsons and Sally Nugent.
Hello there. Matt will be here in 15 minutes with the weekend weather forecast. But first, it's just past 6:30. Let's have a summary of this morning's main news. And a procession and church service is being held this morning in the town where 5-year-old April Jones went missing last Monday.
The Conservative Party conference gets underway in Birmingham today. The party made a...
The radical Islamist cleric Abu Hamza has made his first appearance in an American court, charged with 11 terror offences.
Police in Glasgow say they're concerned about herbal incense that's being sold as a so-called legal high.
60 victims of phone hacking have written to David Cameron, urging him to keep an open mind on the regulation of the press.
Donations to some disability charities in the lead up to the Paralympics were more than double the amount given in the same period in 2011.
Now, a village in Northern Ireland has been named the overall winner of a very prestigious gardening competition.
Brashane in County...
If you think that's impressive. The 13th annual North American Wife Carrying Championship took off in Maine yesterday. I love that it's the Estonian carry. It's like it has a special name.
Yeah, it's very popular.
Assumes there must be a Tajikistan
really
carry.
Our own Mike Bushell has in fact taken part in wife carrying competition for sport. Genuine sport.
Anyway, talking of other top-level sport, John's here.
Yes.
Any more news on the wife carrying, or have you got other things?
I was just thinking I probably should have had that in my bulletin, shouldn't I?
Yeah, exactly. Hands off, that's our one.
I'll leave that with you then. Yeah. Thanks very much. Well, let's...
So are we confident, John?
I think so. I don't see why not. They've been playing well, and you get the feeling that the momentum's with them, so I think that they could do it.
I know Charlotte's been very much playing their chances down, but you have to look at their record through this tournament and say they should be really confident.
Yeah, really strong. And of course they won at Lord's.
Best players in the world in the team.
Yeah.
They're quite good.
So we are confident.
Yeah,
there we go.
Really
we couldn't be more confident.
We're really confident. And I tell you what, if they win, and maybe even if they don't win, they'll be here on this sofa next week.
And we will be talking more about this later on?
Yeah. Thanks, John.
John, thank you. Now, less than a decade ago, the Chechen capital Grozny was described as the most destroyed city on earth by the United Nations.
Yes, it was reduced to rubble during 2 wars between Russian troops and Chechen fighters.
Well, today, Grozny is more peaceful, but as our Moscow correspondent Steve Rosenberg reported, for some, the scars do remain.
It is 7:15. You're watching Breakfast from BBC News. Our main stories this morning. Here's Matt now with a look at this morning's weather. Hi, Matt.
Morning.
Much indeed.
Now, drivers are being hit with large bills following pretty minor incidents on motorways, according to a BBC investigation. A number of commercial companies are contracted by the Highways Agency to clean up after accidents.
Well, more and more drivers say they're receiving hefty charges for work they knew nothing about. Adrian Goldberg reports. And you can hear more on this story.
The Saturday night TV ratings war was in full swing last night. Strictly Come Dancing and The X Factor fought for our attention.
Well, we'll discuss whether the formats will continue to win big audiences in just a moment. But first, here's a flavour of last night's drama. I love it. Well, joining us now to discuss last night's performances are former...
To both of you.
Good morning.
Right, well, let's start with you. You've been there on X Factor.
Yeah.
First series, right?
Yeah, 2004.
2004. How does the standard on X Factor compare, do you think?
I think it's brilliant this year. The girls, not able to just sing beautifully.
OK, so Selena, right. So we've heard X Factor.
Absolutely.
We've bigged up X Factor.
We have indeed.
In the interest of fairness, strictly.
See, I've fallen a bit out of love with X Factor this year.
Blunt, people who are really lousy as well, don't they?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
People
We want to
who
see
really
the
stink up
journey.
the place. So who's done that?
Competitive ones don't always do so well, do they?
People like to see people.
The modern sort of... The team of 2012 all seem like they're semi-professional singers anyway.
Well, if in the overs...
Though, how good and gripping Saturday night telly is at the moment.
No,
because this is
it's like
surely what we
cancel your
wanted
Saturday
for.
nights out.
Is, you know, Saturday night
Absolutely.
television's no good, and now we have these 2 huge shows that
going
everybody
head to head.
engages with.
It's
People
incredible.
people do slate them.
Isn't it a little bit too much about the judges now?
Always has been, if you think about it. My year it was Sharon, Simon and Louis. I miss Simon on the show because I think he's great telling.
I've got to say.
Beginning to look a bit tired now. After all these years, we're very familiar with them. Isn't there going to come a point when someone says, we need something fresh?
I've got to say, I feel that way with X Factor.
Thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you. Much more on this coming up throughout the programme, I know. Also coming up, why using your mobile... Hello, this is Breakfast with Adam Parsons and Sally Nugent.
A procession and prayer service will be held this morning for April Jones. Good morning. It is Sunday, the 7th of October.
Also ahead, the extreme... Now, the Prime Minister has insisted there are no plans to cut the legal time limit for abortions after the Health Secretary said he supported halving it from 24 weeks to 12.
Jeremy Hunt's comments provoked a furious debate. We'll be discussing the issues that they raised.
And Matt has the weather. Thanks, Matt. We'll see you then.
First now, our main story. A procession and church service is being held this morning in the town where 5-year-old April Jones went missing last Monday.
A 46-year-old local man, Mark Bridger, was charged with her abduction and murder yesterday. A major search operation is continuing around the town of Machynlleth in mid-Wales. More on that story coming up in the next half hour. Now, the Conservative conference gets underway in Birmingham today.
Yeah, the party has announced a freeze on council tax bills in England next year and a cap on rises in train fares. Well, the Chancellor, George Osborne, has ruled out a so-called mansion tax on large homes. Our political correspondent.
Now, the radical Islamist cleric Abu Hamza has made his first appearance in an American court charged with 11 terror offences.
He was one of 5 suspects to be extradited from the UK after a very long legal battle.
Police in Glasgow say they're concerned about herbal incense that's being sold as a so-called legal high.
Celebrities, including Hugh Grant and Charlotte Church, have written to the Prime Minister, urging him to keep an open mind on regulation of the press.
Yes, the letter sent ahead of the Conservative Party conference has been signed by 60 victims of phone hacking, including people involved in the bomb attacks on London in 2005 and the Hillsborough Justice campaign.
Donations to some disability charities in the lead up to the Paralympics were more than double the amount given in the same period in 2011. Those are the main stories this morning. Matt's going to have the weather in the next 10 minutes, but let's return now to our top story. Hundreds of people are expected on the streets of April Jones's hometown this morning in honour of the 5-year-old who has been missing since Monday.
Well, our reporter Sean Lloyd is later on today. Service, Sean, what do we know about the search that is, of course, still going on? What's there?
The Prime Minister has insisted that the government has no plans to change the law to reduce the legal time limit for abortions in England, Scotland and Wales.
David Cameron said he didn't agree with his Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt, who suggested the limit should be halved from 24 to 12 weeks. Well, we're joined now by the Conservative. We can come to you. This isn't anything that the government say they are planning to do anytime soon.
No, so
Mark, where's your position on this?
Well, I don't think the Health Secretary's comment was anti-abortion.
that's just an
Well, one
outright
second,
lie. Speak to the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynaecologists.
No, those are the background to it, but what's your opinion?
Well, MPs have their own personal opinions. I'd like to see the term limit come down.
A drastic reduction in the time limit that's being suggested, 24 to 12. But actually what is more likely is a debate about the reduction from 24 to 22 or even 20 weeks. What's your position on that?
I mean, Mark, there's plenty of things that Kate has put forward there. A lot of people will have sympathy for the perspective that nobody wants to have an abortion.
No, of course not, and I don't think any.
What did
The
Mark
important, you know,
respond?
it's so-called the law with the scientific breakthroughs,
We will,
and
Kate,
let's
Mark,
have it on better terms.
Kate and Mark, we thank you both for coming in. This is an emotional discussion, and we will return to it later on. But thank you both for bringing your opinions.
Thank you. It is 20 past 7. You're watching Breakfast from BBC News. Our main stories this morning. Here's Matt now with a look at this morning's weather. Hi, Matt. Thanks very much indeed.
Now, let's have a look through some of the stories from the papers. Chris Adam, you have picked out is the front page of the Sunday Telegraph.
Sunday Telegraph, yes. Well, you can't get away from it in the papers today.
We pick up on here is attacking Ed Miliband's policy void. Well, of course, he's bound to, isn't he? Because Ed Miliband was seen to have had quite a successful speech at conference.
Indeed, and he's taken to Twitter yesterday. I don't know if you've seen.
It's Dave on Twitter.
This is allegedly Dave, but it.
Buttons himself.
What do you think? It says written by David Cameron with the Conservatives.
I would have thought there was quite a
The Conservatives and probably
Boris.
George Osborne.
All people he wants to keep an eye on.
Yes. Chris, this is the story from the Sunday Mirror, and it is about
One of the things he's famously campaigned for is he wanted to end his own life. He, stop eating and stop being force-fed.
He stopped.
Let's have a look at a rather sort of happier story. Actually, this one is from the Observer that I've picked out from your list, Chris. Today's 13. So she's right on the cusp, is she?
Yeah,
she's
it sounds
very
like it.
happy
She's going
there.
zong.
She's going to go from very happy to... isn't that just being a teenager?
I think so, yes. I've got to say the sport thing really doesn't change.
The mail you've picked out. Don't sell jam jars in reused jars by order of Europe. This is for people who make their own jam.
This was actually an edict by the Church of Britain legal advisors. In fact, it was so sort of ridiculous that they actually headed the memo with "This is not a spoof. This is actually real." They were
Stall at the autumn fair with a jam.
well, if a food.
Chris Adams, thanks very much indeed.
Now, at 9 o'clock this morning on BBC One, it's the Andrew Marr Show, which today comes live from the Conservative Party conference in Birmingham. Andrew, good morning to you. What have you got in...
Now, coming up in the programme, 2 years ago, she won the... Hello, this is Breakfast with Adam Parsons and Sally Nugent.
That will be here in 15 minutes with the weekend weather forecast. But now at exactly 7:30, a summary of this morning's main news. And a procession and church service is being held this morning in the town where 5-year-old April Jones went missing last Monday. The Conservative Party conference gets underway in Birmingham today. The party made a...
Radical Islamist cleric Abu Hamza has made his first appearance in an American court, charged with 11 terror offences. He was one of...
60 victims of phone hacking have written to David Cameron, urging him to keep an open mind on regulation of the press.
Now, the England women's cricket team will be hoping a second World 2020 title is within their grasp this morning.
Let's hope so. The squad will meet Australia at the Premadasa Stadium later. Will they be able to keep their nerve that led to their impressive win over New Zealand on Thursday? Well, here to discuss the team's chances is the former England. To answer that question, are they going to win?
Definitely, I think they will win.
No, that the men don't, because frankly our men's team were a disappointment. Our women's team are sensational.
Women's team,
Like more girls in schools perhaps want to take up cricket now.
definitely.
For women's sport, it's been an absolutely fantastic past 6 months or a year or so, hasn't it?
Definitely. The Olympic.
Been an outstanding captain, hasn't she?
She has. She's been around. I mean, she started playing.
We're up against the old enemy, aren't we?
Definitely. I mean, Australia.
Careful to play down. The England team have been playing down their chances at this point, because if you look at it and look at the stats, I would look at it and think they're going to win this.
T20 cricket.
Taking your confidence, and we are running with it. I'm predicting a seven-wicket victory.
Yeah, I'm going for a win, definitely. And you can hear full coverage of the Women's and Men's World 2020 finals on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra from 9:45 this morning. We're here on the BBC News channel until 9 o'clock this morning, and still to come. Goodbye.
Cheerio.
Well, it is now 7:35. It's time to look at all the rest of the sport. We've just been doing the women's cricket. Plenty of other stuff to talk about, though, John.
Yes, indeed. We're going to start with F1. And if you don't want to know... And that's all the sport.
Almost. You just mentioned the grand final there. I have to say something really sad. I came into work last night and I drove past Old Trafford. I could see all the lights and everything looking fantastic. Couldn't get in.
A dry Old Trafford as well.
Yeah, a dry...
Yeah.
a dry Old
And
Trafford.
Kevin Sinfield is just remarkable, isn't it?
Oh.
He's unbreakable.
Incredible. Yeah, incredible, man. Incredible character as well.
Right, so the cricket coming up later on, and John, we've just been talking about that. Do you share the confidence?
So sorry, I'm going to be much more confident than that. They're going to win.
You've called
Yeah,
it?
I've called it. They're going to win. Yeah.
You're calling it for
Yeah,
England.
yeah. What, 2 hours to go now?
And I'm going to tell you some other bit. I watched a bit of Match of the Day last night, and Alan Shearer says Ashley Cole should be dropped from the England team.
You wonder.
Interested in England football, you should certainly watch this programme on Tuesday morning, when we will be live from St George's Park and talking to everybody involved in England. And I'm sure this is one of the subjects we'll be talking about. Ashley Cole's reintegration, should we call it that?
Reintegration.
Following Kevin Peterson.
The buzzword of
Being
English.
Reintegrated, yeah,
perhaps.
exactly.
John, thanks so much.
Thank you. It's just coming up to 7:45. You're watching Breakfast from BBC News. The main stories this morning. Also coming up in the programme...
And now it's time to join Matt for a look at this morning's weather. Matt, thanks very much indeed.
Time now for the latest technology news, including tackling the aches and pains that come with using your mobile phone too much. It's this week's Click.
Hello, this is Breakfast with Adam Parsons and Sally Nugent.
Good morning. A procession and prayer service will be held this morning for April Jones. Good morning. It is Sunday, the 7th of October.
Also ahead, Two of the biggest shows on TV are back. It's been a weekend of sequins and song as Strictly and The X Factor return to our screens.
But how do they compare with previous years, and do the formats still have pulling power? We'll be finding out.
And Matt has the weather. Thanks, Matt.
First now, our main story. A procession and church service is being held this morning in the town where 5-year-old April Jones went missing last Monday.
A 46-year-old local man, Mark Bridger, was charged with her abduction and murder yesterday. A major search operation is continuing around the town of Machynlleth in mid-Wales. Well, our reporter Sian Lloyd is on the route of the procession. Now, Sian, what are we expecting to happen there later today? Sian Lloyd reporting for us there.
The Conservative conference gets underway in Birmingham today.
The party has announced a freeze on council tax bills in England next year and a cap on train fare rises.
Well, the Chancellor, George Osborne, has also ruled out a so-called mansion tax on large homes. Well, our political
Radical Islamist cleric Abu Hamza has made his first appearance in an American court, charged with 11 terror offences.
He was one of 5 suspects to be extradited from the UK after a long legal battle.
Police in Glasgow say they're concerned about a herbal incense that's being sold as a so-called legal high.
Celebrities, including Hugh Grant and Charlotte Church, have written to the Prime Minister urging him to keep an open mind on regulation of the press.
The letter, sent ahead of the Conservative Party conference, has been signed by 60 victims of phone hacking, including people involved in the bomb attacks on London in 2005 and the Hillsborough Justice campaign. Donations to some disability charities in the lead up to the Paralympics were more than double the amount given in the same period in 2000.
Those are the main stories this morning. It is, 12 minutes or so past 8, and Matt's going to be with us in about 10 minutes' time with the weather. Now, Conservative activists are gathering in Birmingham for their annual party conference. With Labour leading the opinion polls, the party will focus on ideas designed to be popular and eye-catching.
Well, it's already made a series of announcements, as you heard us talk about just a moment ago, including a freeze on council tax. But what more can we expect? We're joined now by... Why that? Why are you doing that today when you're the party in government?
Well, of course, party conferences are...
Which is always traditionally something of a rallying call, and your party probably needs that at the moment, wouldn't you say? George Osborne has flatly ruled out what we're calling the mansion tax on properties over a certain amount, worth over a certain amount of money. That's not going to go down well with your Lib Dem colleagues, is it? Across Westminster as being a prolific tweeter, a user of the social networking site Twitter. I've heard that David Cameron now has his own Twitter account. Is it real? Fascinated to hear it. Now, you know that Labour, of course, had quite an upbeat conference in Manchester. Does that put additional pressure on you now? Leave it there. Thanks very much indeed.
OK. Thanks very much.
It is 16 minutes past 8. You're watching Breakfast from BBC News, and the main stories this morning. It was very frosty. It was a bit misty this morning.
Really dangerous driving in. Yeah.
It's actually misty behind Matt Taylor. Matt, good morning.
Thanks very much indeed.
Let's have a look inside some of the papers now. Chris Adams. Morning to you again.
Good morning.
I know the first one you've picked out is from The Observer. It's their comment page.
Indeed.
Boris Johnson reminds Tories of what David Cameron...
All the unpopular policies is hailed by right-wingers as being a truer to David Cameron's speech. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. And
whatever your political opinions, he is a fantastic public speaker, Boris Johnson.
He is a brilliant public speaker. And of course, as anyone knows, you need a good deal more than a public persona. But what he's got is this easy charm, which David Cameron has...
Zones, goodness me, Chris. It's early on a Sunday morning for that.
Shall we move on to a story about the church?
Yes.
Yes. Split in the Church of England.
I've been following this. It's not a big FT story particularly, but it's one that's very interesting. The Church of England is supposed to have chosen a successor to Archbishop Rowan Williams, the Archbishop of Canterbury, but it hasn't. And this announcement was supposed to happen 9 days ago. Former oil company executive, as it happened.
OK, now let's have a look in the Sunday Times. Tolkien's Fallen Arthur rise...
Hollywood film execs foaming at the mouth right now, thinking there's another movie.
well, we could try a TV first and read it out. Do you think we'd...
Arthur Eastwood.
It's been National Poetry Day. Go on.
All right, well, I'm no poet, but here we go. Arthur Eastwood defending. That's the first line. You see, alliteration's big. Lots of R's, T's, S's, H's, and it carries on much like that for 1,000 lines.
There we go. 1,000 lines of that. Good luck.
And finally, I think, you picked out here in The Independent, why women like men with red faces.
Yeah, well-
do we mean embarrassed? No, not.
No,
not-
apparently. Well, I thought it was all tall, dark, and handsome is what they went
Yeah.
for. But apparently,
There we go.
tall, dark, handsome, and a bit red-faced.
Interesting. They've got a picture of Sir Alex Ferguson
Yes. Well, he's the clue to unlocking this. This is a new study by that shows the Manchester United's long-standing manager, ferocious, renowned for his hairdryer, telling off at half-time.
there.
Chris, just to sum up, you're saying Alex Ferguson is attractive, and even Brad Pitt, some people think, is good
Alex
looking.
is more attractive than Brad Pitt. There you go.
Yes, I don't really know what to say about that.
On that note, Chris, we say thank you very much. Go and
Thank you.
lie down.
Thanks
Chris
very
Adams.
much.
Thank you.
Now, the Saturday night TV ratings war was in full swing last night as Strictly Come Dancing and The X Factor fought for our attention.
Well, we will discuss whether the formats will continue to win big audiences in a moment, but first, here's a flavour of last night's drama. We're already discussing these things. Joining us now to just let's start with you. I mean, a smorgasbord of of amateur talent, whether it's singing or dancing. Which one stood out for you, X Factor or Strictly?
I've got to say, I always love both shows, but Strictly's really doing it for me. They've just got the snazzy factor.
And you worry, you think, oh, they've done a really good year. Who on earth are they going to find next year?
Exactly.
And they come up with that mix of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like Strictly, but it is people who are already famous and they've already got their careers.
Look, isn't it?
Well, the boy band's completely different, and I don't think the boy bands in this competition are very good this year.
Who's have been around for quite a while
They have.
now. Are they beginning to get a bit stale?
Do you know what? I've fallen a bit out of love with it. It's always brilliant.
Yeah, it's always a nice surprise, isn't
Of
it? When you
course
look
it
at
is.
somebody who you expect to be a brilliant dancer, perhaps, you know,
Absolutely.
Victoria Pendleton had a bit of that pressure on her.
Yes. Everyone expected Victoria to really shine. She's, you know, a terrific sportswoman.
Yeah.
And you think,
Very good
yeah,
this year. But I do like MK1, but they've got Louis as a mentor, and he's not the best mentor, is he?
Oh, that's
Chose a lousy
absolutely-
song, didn't they?
Did they?
Look to all of them tonight and keep voting for them because it is their careers.
Yeah,
Roberta
absolutely.
Selena?
Now, coming up here on this programme, 2 years. Hello, this is Breakfast with Adam Parsons and Sally Nugent.
Good morning. Matt will be here in 15 minutes with the weekend weather forecast. But first at 8:32, let's have a summary of this morning's main news. And a procession and church service is being held this morning in the town where 5-year-old April Jones went missing last Monday.
Major.
Speaking on Breakfast a short time ago, one of the police officers in charge of the search said that the teams looking for April would become focused on smaller areas.
The Conservative Party conference gets underway in Birmingham today. The party made a...
The radical Islamist cleric Abu Hamza has made his first appearance in an American court, charged with 11 terror offences. He was one of 5...
60 victims of phone hacking have written to David Cameron, urging him to keep an open mind on regulation of the press.
8:33, let's get all the sport news now with John. And things going on in Japan that I can't decide if I want to know or not.
Yes, that's right. The Formula One is just about to finish. We're going to bring you the result, hopefully, at the end of the bulletin, but we're going to...
Against Sebastian Vettel. John, thank you.
John,
Thanks very
thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Now, the Prime Minister has insisted the government has no plans to change the law to reduce the legal time limit for abortions in England, Scotland and Wales.
David Cameron said he didn't agree with his Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt, who suggested the limit should be halved from 24 to 12 weeks. We're joined now by the Conservative MP Mark Pritchard. 4 to 12 weeks, A, seems quite draconian, and B, seems a thing that the Conservative Party probably wouldn't want to be debating on the eve of its own conference.
Well, I think the Health Secretary has expressed...
From 24 to 22 and 24 to 12, though, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, in an ideal...
Planning to introduce, there is no legislation planned, but you would feel that perhaps, is it a debate we don't need to have?
No, not at all. I'm
I
absolutely...
want to put it to you, people have said that particularly testing for Down syndrome is routinely done after 12 weeks, or those problems become apparent after 12 weeks. And for that reason, that 12 weeks is simply not a feasible limit.
Well, I'm not arguing for 12 weeks here today.
Your framework around that decision-making process, though, doesn't it?
Does it? No, there isn't in Canada.
But
It's just
in the vast
decriminalised
majority
in
of the world,
Canada.
there is a cut-off point where we say...
yes,
at
and
this
there is
point.
exactly what...
At least appreciate why some people are uncomfortable with a 24-week limit.
Is when they're not ready to do so.
Thank you both very much indeed for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Okay, thank you. It is 8:46. You're watching Breakfast from BBC News. These are the main stories this morning. So, I now lose Sally.
Yeah, time to say goodbye for
Time
me.
to say goodbye. Off to read the news for Andrew Marr. However, the man in your place, we summon Matt Taylor.
I don't come even close to matching up to Sally, bless her. But don't get lost.